With us, everyone. In a historic display of diplomacy and statecraft, King Charles III today bid farewell to Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, at Windsor Castle, bringing to a close their landmark two-day state visit to the United Kingdom. This visit, the first of its kind in nearly 4 decades, was more than ceremonial. Over the past 2 days, the delegation engaged in high-level discussions on trade, security and strategic partnerships, while participating in grand state banquets and ceremonial events, underscoring the deepening ties between Nigeria and the UK. Let's see this.
Nigeria and United Kingdom have shared more than just history. Our two nations share a vision of progress and resilience. Today, we continue that journey, committed to building a future rooted in partnership, mutual respect, and common values. Our people remains the strongest bridge between our two countries. The Nigerian community in the United Kingdom has become one of the most dynamic diaspora communities worldwide. Nigerians continue to contribute enormously to the vitality both here, England, and in Nigeria.
From Afrobeats filling our concert halls and Nollywood captivating our screens, to stars competing in our Premier League and adjudicating our highest courts, so much of Britain's culture is, in truth, profoundly enriched by Nigeria. I believe firmly that when rain clouds gather, we can tighten the grip of friendship between us and, in so doing, reinforce the central role of the Commonwealth in our shared future. We can learn from Nigeria and the best of the UK and Nigeria's partnership and harness the advantage that comes from our common languages, our similar legal systems, and the web of cultural ties and spiritual connections that provide such deep trust between us.
Right, so in that video we heard King Charles III call Nigeria an economic powerhouse, a cultural force and an influential diplomatic voice from a continent that is playing an increasingly important role in the world. We also heard Mr. President talk about the importance of expanding intra-Commonwealth trade by creating shared standards, regulatory and digital alignments, and removing barriers that deter investment. So tonight, let's unpack the significance of the strengthened relationship between these two influential nations, what it means for Nigeria, the UK, and the wider African continent. I'm joined tonight by distinguished guests, Professor Kayode Suola, Research Professor of Political Behavior at the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos. Also joining us from the UK is Paul Ikonne, former Executive Secretary, CEO of the National Agricultural Land Development Authority. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining me on Politics Tonight. Prof, it's so good to see you again. Mr. Ikonne, can you hear me? Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I'll come back to you in a moment. Prof, let me start with you. It was interesting to hear King Charles III reiterate that this friendship between Nigeria and the UK is a partnership of equals. Very important because Nigerians were concerned about whether this is just a continuation of dependency. First, what do you make of the state visit? And second, does that answer the question of perceived over-reliance on UK institutions for legitimacy?
What the president has done is to assure the world that our nation, Nigeria, is equal to and can stand up to and can also stand up with any other nation in the world. So when the UK leader said it is a relationship of equal partnership, I choose to believe it because thematically that is what it means. That equal partnership may not mean economic equality, may not mean military might in terms of equality, but that ideologically and philosophically, no nation is greater than the other. And so Nigeria is not subservient to any country around the world, be it UK or US. That is the implication of that statement. The second one, those who are talking about dependency, Perhaps may have some points, but in the world today, no nation is absolutely self-dependent. We are all dependent on one another in terms of economy, in terms of military might, in terms of political affiliation and all sorts. So if Nigeria depends on the UK for a few things, the UK leader didn't mince word, saying that the Nigerians who are in UK constitute a living bridge between the two countries. And if you look at that phrase, living bridge, it goes beyond dependency. It states that there is a situation in which those in UK might not be able to do it, do without Nigerians, okay? While the other way around, Nigeria as a country also, and Nigerian citizens also need the services of UK. No nation can stand on its own. In the days of neoliberalism, with the globalization, citizens move around the world. There are many UK citizens who are here to do business, to work, and ditto the same thing. So that dependency theory may be right to some extent.
But it's debatable.
But it is highly debatable within the context of what the world is today, you know, as it were. And something that I want every Nigerian to take away from the president's visit is that he did not deny that we have problems at home, especially security. While the president was there was a report that in Maiduguri a lot of things happened. The president never denied this. But if you look at the statement very well, he insisted that while you try to address problems, part of which he was in the UK, okay, you must also not ignore the progressive part of life. Because when you solve the problem, and you now start building progress from the scratch, you may not be able to go far. So what I make out of the president's speech, I hope it is honest. I don't know, I'm not in his mind, but what clearly shows in his speech is that while Nigeria does not deny the availability of several problems, including security, Nigeria is willing to manage that problem, but at the same time, it must pursue economic progress, political progress, diplomatic progress around the world. And philosophically, I think I agree with that.
And it also looks like King Charles was very pumped about how the economy and tourism may have improved. He made reference to £178 million in Britain. Nigeria spent this amount of money in Britain in 2024. 251,000 people from Britain traveled to Nigeria and spent just as much in return. And he also says in general this year, Nigeria became the UK's biggest export market in Africa. So taking together tourism and the trade numbers, suggesting this growing economic partnership, how important is this, and what's the long-term implication of this?
That's probably the symbiotism that the president is talking about. That in terms of dependency, nobody should laud that too much. You know, no nation is absolutely independent. Nigeria has a lot of benefits derivable from UK. UK also has a lot of benefits derivable from Nigeria. If you remember the scenario of Dirty December, every year, you know what Nigerians in the US, in UK, come up with in terms of money that is used to develop the educational system and several other institutions in Nigeria. This is coming from the United Kingdom. It's coming from the United States and other countries of the world. But at the same time, you know the number of Nigerian medical doctors, engineers, and bankers, and those who are in the UK, in other countries of the world, strengthening their economy, without whom those countries might not be able to do much. So that symbiotism is what I read in the speech of the president. And I want to emphasize, the president agreed and acknowledged that we have several problems at home, but why he makes effort towards solving this problem, he should not ignore chasing progressive ideas around the world, economically, diplomatically, and politically.
All right.
That's what I say.
Thank you, Prof. Mr. Ikonne, let me come to you. Nigeria has had decades of diplomatic ties with the UK. So what makes this meeting between Mr. President and Keir Starmer truly different? What I mean is, what is the real political objective for President Tinubu in engaging Prime Minister Starmer at this time?
This is one major visit that has given Nigeria international credibility. It brings Nigeria to the international stage and puts confidence on Nigerians. For the president, the leader of Nigeria, to stand shoulder to shoulder with such, let me not use the word lavished banquet, shows how important and the critical role Nigeria plays and how Britain perceives Nigeria or sees Nigeria. Nigerians at this point should be celebrating a new level of existence, in the sense that Nigerian credibility has been shored up through this visit or by this visit. And one other hidden, which is major achievement of this visit, is the agricultural aspect of it. Though it's not openly mentioned, or agreement signed towards agricultural improvement, but this visit will help farmers, because when farmers produce or when farmers lack proper inputs or proper support for their farming activities, it becomes difficult for proper production. You will agree with me that UK is known for being one of the leading countries in climate-smart agriculture. So what this visit does is to expose Nigeria, to give confidence to UK investors that Nigeria is a place we can invest in agriculture. UK also identifies that agriculture is one of Nigeria's very great strengths that needs development, that requires more expansion, that also benefits the United Kingdom. So this visit puts Nigeria forward for multiple opens multiple doors for Nigerians. Okay. One of them is agricultural exports, okay, and agricultural infrastructural development. So I believe that there is a lot benefit from this presidential visit. Well, Nigerians will have to applaud the president for breaking this ground and, again, giving Nigeria hope, and Nigerians hope to be, especially those in the diaspora. They can walk the street now being proud of themselves. If you were to be here, you would have seen how Nigerian flag was used to adorn the streets. You will be proud being in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Ikonne, still talking about agriculture. I mean, Nigeria is a country that continues to import food at scale. So what should the president mandate from the UK to reverse this trend?
Infrastructure. Inputs, and sharing information. Now, Nigeria agriculture has moved from what we used to know it to be. We're talking about smart agriculture, greenhouse farming, improved inputs, supply of fertilizers. So UK is well known for their achievement in food production. So our irrigation systems requires attention. So this partnership will give strong courage, boldness to UK investors to come and invest in Nigerian agricultural system. And again, it will open door for our own farmers, our own investors, businessmen and women, to do business with the United Kingdom. Let me quickly chip in this before we proceed. This kind of visit requires a follow-up. And the follow-up will not be done by Mr. President. It will be done by investors, Nigerian businessmen and women, who should take advantage of this visit, not only in the UK, but globally.
All right, Prof, let me come to you. I mean, it may be the first state visit in the last 37 years, but this is not the first time Nigerians will be seeing their presidents travel outside of the country, which means that past administrations have often promoted some of these foreign trips as investment drives. But the question is, why hasn't this consistently translated into visible economic relief for Nigerians?
It's a multiplicity of several factors.
Is it corruption?
Maybe corruption is included, maybe also insecurity, maybe also we're operating under a circumstance in which the results may not be visible in the immediate realm. It could be something that is building up that might not have been seen in the real sense. But as you said, what is clear is that to the average Nigerian, the results, the impact of these several visits have not been practically noticed by the Nigerian people. And that is why a lot of people are criticizing that, look, how many countries do you want to travel to? But again, without speaking for Mr. President, you must continue to try. You must continue to try. Maybe that is the philosophy behind what he has done. But while encouraging him to continue to try, it is important for him to know that back home, for whatever effort you are making outside the country to yield fruit, you must essentially improve on security. That is key. No investor anywhere in the world will be proud and confident to come and carry his money into a country where there is no security. And that piece of advice goes for the president. Once that is done, maybe we'll begin to see the impact of these several tips.
Let's stay on that, Prof. I mean, what realistic support can the UK provide that Nigeria isn't already receiving when it comes to security?
Well, you never can tell. People in security system will tell you that there's a hardcore of the security, which is what you see on the road. Soldiers carrying guns, people attacking or preventing attack. But there is also the soft core, which is the intelligence sharing, which is the build-up to events happening or not happening, as the case may be. I'm not a security expert, but I know that this visit will probably trigger this kind of trust between the two leaders, who will now understand that we are not very far from each other, and we should be able to work together towards ensuring that we use the hardcore and the soft side of security to build it together. Even if it is not going to be like sending military forces to come to Nigeria to help in terms of insecurity or finding, intelligence sharing could be a very important aspect of it. And I'm sure I could see the National Security Advisor there, and could also
Minister
see
of Defense was also there.
The Minister of State for Budget and all this. All of them are there. And I'm sure, I know the President will have given each of them some mandates to take away from that meeting, and of course apply locally when they return to Nigeria. But security must be the focus of this President.
All right, gentlemen, let's take a break at this moment, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation. But it's also important to say that when we return, this conversation continues on our other platforms. Please stay with us, everyone. For Nigeria, and what outcomes should Nigerians expect? I've been speaking with research professor of political behavior at the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos, Professor Kayode Isuola. Also joining me virtually is Prince Paul Ikonne, former ES CEO, now there, also convener Asiwaju Tsunami. Mr. Ikonne, let me continue this conversation with you. Prof had spoken at length about this, but it's also important to get your own perspective. What is missing between diplomatic agreement and real economic impact at home? Is the problem policy execution? Is it corruption or unrealistic expectations? What is it?
And thank you for that question. I will suggest that putting all the expectations for the outcomes of every visit of the president upon the president or those in power may be a shift of responsibility. The citizens, the businessmen, the businesswomen, the community, there should be a follow-up. Follow-up in the sense that every president's visit opens doors for continuation from where the president stopped, in the sense that the president goes to showcase Nigeria, goes to discuss the issues, the problems, the challenges that Nigerians are having. there should be people. Let me use one of the top business people who goes out there to leverage on the image, the number, the population of Nigeria to build their businesses, to attract more funding into their businesses. So I believe the issue of corruption or lack of management by those in the office should not only be the point, the focus
So
point.
whose job is it to follow up, Mr. Ikonne?
Business people, business women. Let me cite example. When the president is in this meeting right now, or that the president was in that meeting, there are a lot of ministries represented in that meeting, okay? And there are takeaways that you will not see on the news, that will not be carried on the news. So Nigerians who are those in the diaspora will go to the embassies to meet with the consulate or the ambassador to see how they will leverage on this president's visit. Those back home, for us that are back home, businessmen and women, to go through the ministries. There should be a mechanism put in place for follow-up. Follow-up in the sense that the president's job is to open doors, present Nigeria the way it is, and seek for ways of collaboration. The businessmen and women in Nigeria should be the ones to follow up with other business partners or associates in those countries or the country that the president has visited. Now, to answer your question from another point of view, continuity, policy continuity is key. If there is a policy, when policy is put in place, there's need to continue from there and build upon it until the result comes. You don't achieve result at one trial. You don't finish a building in just one day. You lay the foundation, you begin to lay the block. But before you lay the foundation, you would have had the design ready and follow all the due processes of getting approvals and all that. Those processes are not being seen. The people will begin to see that you are building when they see the structure standing. So building upon existing memorandum of understanding, following through it and implementing them is one key area that our country, Nigeria, and those saddled with those responsibilities should make sure that they follow through. The job of the president is to open the doors. The ministries, the agencies are there to implement the policies and programs of government. So there is need for everyone in government to rise to the occasion of following through by implementing, sustaining the policies and the programs that have been put in place.
All right. And so before we went on that break, Prof had said one of the biggest obstacles to investment is insecurity. For you, Mr. Ikonne, what realistic support can the UK provide that Nigeria isn't already receiving?
We don't know the level of intelligence sharing, like Prof did mention, that we are getting from the UK currently. Again, that image that UK is working with Nigerian security system will also send strong signal down to those ones or those people who are causing the insecurity, the bandits. Globally, insecurity is a huge challenge, but how you manage yours matters a lot. So I strongly believe that this relationship, UK, if they were given 5, 6, 10% support in terms of intelligence sharing or arms selling or ammunitions, I think they will have to come up to a higher percentage. It is clear that UK wants Nigeria to succeed. It is clear that the UK government wants the president to succeed. So with this kind of relationship, it goes to strengthen the president and the people in Nigeria that, yes, we have international support and we will overcome the insecurity that we are seeing today.
But quickly, do we need to be cautious about over-reliance on foreign security partnerships?
You can't live alone. It's a global village. The world is a global village. You can see what is happening in Iraq. It's touching the entire world. So you can't separate yourself. Nigeria cannot isolate So as much as you can rely on anybody to make things work within your environment, I don't think there is anything wrong with that.
All right, Prof, let me come to you. Same question, because you had hammered on the importance of security and foreign partnerships. Do we need to be cautious about, it may not be over-reliance, but reliance on foreign security partnerships? Maybe we also have the U.S. on one side.
Yeah, I think I agree 100% that we have to be very careful when it comes to relying absolutely on external forces for our security. Internally, what the president should understand and implement as a policy is that the first point of security is welfare. You know, where welfare is lacking, people are susceptible and vulnerable to being co-opted into all sorts of insecurity that you can imagine: banditry, robbery, stealing, you know, area boyism, as you call it in Nigeria. So if the welfare system of the Nigerian people is solid, like Yorubas will say, that Tebiba Yonu Ishe, a huge percentage of insecurity problem will have been addressed. And then we leave it to the international dimension, which is terrorism and banditry. That's not only peculiar to Nigeria. It runs across West Africa, across Africa and several parts of the world. And I also believe that no nation alone can solve that problem. But there must be demonstration of seriousness, willingness, political will, if you choose, to solve that problem. If I were Mr. President, before anything in this life, what I would do is first increase and improve upon the welfare of the citizen as a prelude to ensuring that I face and tackle insecurity head on. And that implies that every day, my Minister of Defense or National Security Advisor should brief Nigerians about the progresses made every day. It's a national emergency. I just choose to say the president did not hide acknowledging it. Security or insecurity, as the case may be, is a national emergency in Nigeria. So every day, and I'm not exaggerating, the National Security Advisor, the Minister of Defense should brief Nigeria and Nigerian people on and about what is happening, what steps have been taken so far, what strategies we're adopting, and then people will begin to have trust and confidence that we're moving from one point to the other. That is what I would do if I were Mr. President. But I think this should go to him now as a piece of advice, that no investment effort will yield any solid reward except you have a very stable security system.
All right.
That's,
let's stay on this, Prof, because I mean, on one hand, we say we need foreign support. On the other hand, we're saying we have to be very careful about over-relying on this foreign
like any other thing in life, when
so,
you go to the extreme, it doesn't work well.
So where is the political balance between collaboration and sovereignty?
Well, Nigeria is a sovereign country. All nations of the country, of the world, are supposed to be sovereign. Nigeria also is sovereign. And I said from the speech of the president and from the speech of the UK leader, each acknowledged the sovereignty of the countries that they represent. So Nigeria is a sovereign country. However, there are international emergencies that may make it look that the sovereignty of a country is intruded upon, you know. And that is what you may want to see around the world. Security or insecurity, as the case may be, in a country, it's not particularly about a country, it's about the world alone. UK citizens come here, US citizens come here, Benin Republic citizens come here. When they get into this place, they are killed, they are massacred, they are kidnapped and all these things. It may strain relationship between Nigeria and the countries from which these citizens come. Therefore, when it comes to security emergency, like we have in Nigeria, we will respect our sovereignty, no doubt about that. But we will also not turn a blind eye towards external assistance that may appear intruding on our, sovereignty.
As a nation.
Knowing how to manage it well, what you call political will, is what the president needs to strengthen. And strengthening that requires having series of advisors who know how to manage a balance between the two situations. But the security problem appears local, but indeed and in truth it is international, especially when it comes to terrorism. And no nation can solve it alone except you have international collaboration.
All right, Mr. Ikonne, let me come back to you. I want to take you back to the missing link between diplomatic agreements and real economic impact at home. I mean, earlier I was asking Prof for his perspectives on to what extent has corruption or did corruption undermine some of this international arrangements or agreements involving Nigeria. But are we seeing any real political will under President Bola Tinubu to break that cycle? Or is it business as usual?
Thank you so much. The president has demonstrated it, that political will and the courage to break that cycle by pushing for local government to be granted autonomy. And that has happened. But the unfortunate thing is that as we speak, the local government are still struggling. Our security challenges are very local, very, very local. These guys come from local government. But where the local government system is not working, how much can our president do? Now, the governors at this point, they will have to sit up and join hands with the president to allow the local government system to function. If the local government system is not functioning, I don't know how much security we can achieve in Nigeria. The security situation in Nigeria happens at the locals, at the local communities. So if we have a functional security system, if we have a functional local government system, the economy, the economic system, the environment, everywhere will be economically active. But when there are insecurity as a result of lack of functionality of the local government in our country, that could be affecting the impact of these international trips that the president is making. So much money goes to the local government system, but nobody is seeing much impact coming from that angle. So I believe, or I think that it should start from the local government system to be effectively effective in order to impact on the welfare of the citizens within.
Mr. Ikonne, it's interesting to hear you talk about local government autonomy, because clearly there's a disconnect between what is signed at the top level and what institutions on the ground can actually implement. But for you, does Nigeria have that institutional capacity to absorb and perhaps execute these agreements effectively?
I will always use agricultural system or a platform to communicate my thoughts. Every investment or development is local. You must develop a local place. From developing a local place, it becomes a city. So if the local place, which is the local government, is not functioning, you cannot have a city. So to implement it, you have the third tier of government, which is the local government system, unfortunately, under the state governors. So that has made the local government system not functional, not effective as it ought to be in most of the states in the country. So for us to get it right, we have to go back to our local system and make sure that the local government is effectively working. From that point, you will find out, or you will see that the issue of insecurity, like the prof pointed out, that hunger, lack of welfare for the citizens. The welfare will not come from the presidency. It comes from the local government. And the president has said, allow the local government to have their funds so that this welfare will get to the grassroots.
All right then, Prof, this is for you, because there's a proposed Coventry University campus in Lagos. I mean, there are some who are talking about how transformative this could be. The UK degrees at home model how transformative would it be for Nigeria's education sector and human capital development?
Well, I personally, I do not see any significance in this whole saga of coming to create university campus.
It will definitely undermine
I mean,
an institution like Unilag.
Even when it is not going to undermine, the idea is the ones you have at home, take care of them and make them the standard of that UK whose degree you are seeking. You know, address brain drain, you know, ensure that the standards of the university are what they are supposed to be globally. If we do that, then many UK citizens...
Government thinks this will address brain drain, but how?
You know, I do not see it address brain drain in any way. What will address brain drain is to develop a system that will return Nigeria to an intellectual society, where those who work in the universities, especially the intellectuals, will once again be respected in society. If we do that, like we used to have in the past, several people in the US, UK, and several other countries will come to Nigeria to study and get their degrees. I do not see any difference between the UK degree and the Nigerian degree. If you give me a choice...
So this is counterproductive?
I'm not going to say it is counterproductive. It is exaggerated. That's the way I see it. I don't see Nigerians needing any UK degree to be able to do what they want to do, especially because a host of our people are there helping them to produce this degree. And the knowledge was taken from this part of the world. So UK degree should be kept aside. I mean, that could have been very good or fantastic as a political statement, you know, while the president was in the UK. But I'm saying that that is not the way to go.
It should remain so.
The way to go is to ensure that the local universities are properly funded and are taken to the level it was in the 70s and 80s when people in the UK, in the US, and all those places that people call Senacline will come to and get their own degrees. That's the way to go.
And that will take me to how influential Nigerian diaspora in the UK is. Estimated to be among the largest African communities in Britain. We're talking about more than 500,000 people in the UK who were born in Nigeria. Are we, as a nation, are we leveraging this asset diplomatically and economically? Are we?
I do not think we are at present. But I will recommend that we should begin to. It's high time we started.
Where do we start from?
Okay, so one of the things that struck me in Mr. President's visit is the disposition and the attitude of the Nigerian diaspora on the streets of economic exchange, diplomatic exchange, scientific exchange, and research exchange. This will help us transform.
There are those talking about formalizing diaspora bonds or political inclusion.
Yeah, that should be. I mean, Nigerians in diaspora, if indeed they're up to 500,000, that can make a whole lot of difference in democracy. Are they able to vote and probably positively contribute to the political development of their country during elections, during period? All these things we have to leverage. And I think the diaspora leader in Nigeria should look into that. What are we going to do to ensure that these people, with this huge number, begin to contribute politically, economically, even ideologically? There are several of these security experts who are in the UK who probably know a lot of things that Nigerian experts might not know. If they seek collaboration for the purpose of solving the problem of terrorism in Nigeria, that can, you know, take us into a very big aspect of it.
Mr. Ikonne, I want you to continue from where Prof stopped. Why hasn't diaspora engagements translated into larger structured investment for us?
Because if I would say, it appears to be one-man thing. I mean, the UK, nobody knows how I got to the UK, so I want to live my life and support my family back home. But now that there is a commission that oversees them, I believe more will be seen from them. There's this program I noticed that was going on in the country, Diaspora Estate, Diaspora Village. These are part of it, you know, coming together under the commission and being coordinated by the Commission, will help them outside the funds that comes from them back home, for them to make their own contribution and represent Nigeria in a positive way wherever they are. So they have great roles to play. They are Nigerian, self-appointed Nigerian ambassador wherever they are and in any field, either in those working in the hospitals, the police, wherever they are working, they are self-appointed Nigerian ambassador representing Nigerian image, representing Nigeria where they are working. That will be a huge plus to us because it gives more confidence and trust that working with Nigeria gives you that peace of mind that you can trust working with Nigeria. One thing that had happened to us as a country was misrepresentation of who Nigerians are. The event here was very colorful. No tribe, no tongue. You wouldn't see the Igbo man, you wouldn't see the Yoruba man or the Hausa man. All you saw was Nigerians, and it gladdens the heart. It also helps those that are living here, that unity. When others see that they have unity, they are a block, it becomes difficult to break them and for them to be bullied.
You now raised the issue of diaspora bonds or political inclusion with Prof as a democratic reform. What is your perspective? Also, can diaspora bonds succeed without first addressing trust deficits in governance?
I don't see it succeeding. One other aspect I want you to look at is for them to begin to vote. That has been, Abike Dabiri, yes, has been pushing for the aspirants to begin to vote. These things are process. And I believe when we get to the end of each process, it manifests. So none will be left behind. But when we start one, we'll continue it, we'll see to the end, and we'll begin to enjoy the dividend. So it is something that all of us will be happy to see, that the diaspora bond and seeing the diaspora, those in the diaspora begin to vote, contribute, and be part of politics in Nigeria. It will be something that all of us will be happy to witness. So should we give up that it has not happened by now? Up to now, no. Will it happen? Yes, when we're not able to say. But let's all be hopeful that it's a process, and when the process gets to its logical conclusion, we'll begin to see the benefit of it.
All right. Quickly, gentlemen, before I let you go, migration is a sensitive political issue in the UK. What would a politically balanced migration agreement look like from the Nigerian perspective? Please go first, Prof.
Migration is sensitive not only in the UK, but all over the world, including Nigeria. Maybe the UK is coming up with a series of debates now about migration because of their own national experience in terms of what that's done in welfare and security and all this stuff. What I propose is that Nigeria should ensure that the local political terrain is able to ensure that those who migrate for the sake of mobility, not dastard migration that will make them feel the country they are coming from is bullshit.
I mean, overall, the fairway at Windsor Castle may have closed the chapter on this visit, but the impact of these historic engagements will resonate for years. And we're just hoping that it sets the stage for a deeper partnership between the two countries. Thank you very much for joining me on the program tonight.
The two countries have a lot to gain from each other.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Prof. Kayode Isola, Research Professor of Political Behavior at the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much for
Paul Ikonne, former ES CEO, now the convener, Asiwaju Tsunami. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Ikonne. Thank you very much. It's good to see you again. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode.